Hi everyone, welcome. FPL Matt Day here, and this is my live deadline stream for game week 32. It is a blank game week. There is 4 teams not playing this weekend due to the FA Cup semi-finals, so it is a blank game week. There is less fixtures than what we'd normally have. Plenty of people are activating their free hit chip. We've got other people navigating with free transfers and hits. So there's lots to discuss on this deadline stream. We're about an hour and a half, just under that now until deadline. It's 10 past 2 here in Australia, where I am in the morning. So I'm up nice and early for this deadline stream. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. Like this video as well. All the likes are really appreciated, and get your comments in. This is just going to be going through the fixtures. I'll talk about some differentials and captains, and then if we get any comments in, then I will be going through all of the questions that come in on the podcast and answering them all as well. So please continue to get your questions in as the podcast goes on. I'm going to start straight away and share the screen. So let's go straight into the fixtures, and I'll talk about the best players from each game, starting with this first game. As you can see on the screen there, the first game on, which is today, 3 hours time, just under 3 hours time, Arsenal against Southampton at the Emirates. Southampton rock bottom, Arsenal sitting at top of the league. I think Arsenal will cruise in this game. Thinking it'll be 3-0 to Arsenal in this. But people ask me this all week as well. You know, the best players to pick from Arsenal. And for me, I think Martinelli is definitely number 1 at the moment. 8 returns in his last 9 games. I think he's hitting about 45% ownership as well right now. So he's someone you've got to have in your teams if you can get him in there on a free transfer. So he's my number 1 pick from Arsenal. Number 2, it's always going to be Saka. He's got to be in there. I know he missed the pen last week, but I think he'll come back firing and looking to get some big points in this one. Got a good record in home games against teams in the bottom of the league as well. We saw that when he got that big haul against Palace. And then I'd then go say a third sort of option would probably be Gabriel Jesus. If he plays, I think he's going to be a one to watch up front. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Arsenal. Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka. Martinelli number 1, Saka number 2, Jesus number 3, and no one from Southampton. Look, if you've got Ward-Prowse in your team because he happens to be in there and you're not free hitting, you obviously play him because he can score a free kick at any time. But that's my thoughts on that game. I know a lot of people are looking for the best Arsenal triple ups, and that's just my opinion. That's my favourite ones. I still like Ødegaard as well. I still like the idea of having one of their defenders. But yeah, that 3 attackers really, really excites me in this one. Welcome to the stream, Lex. It's great to have you in. And this is Wrestling Film. Great to see you in the stream, mate. Obviously, I just spoke about Arsenal, and I saying to you on Twitter, I don't have Martinelli, so I'm quite worried about that. I know you've got him in your team, so good luck. Hope you are well, mate. Yeah, nice and early here. It's about 2 a.m. or 2:15 in the morning. So I'm up nice and early for this deadline stream. Let's go on to Fulham versus Leeds next. This is a really, really interesting one because not many people are looking at players from this game. And I always find in blank game weeks, it's the fixtures you don't expect that pull up, the big points. We saw it with Ream from Fulham on the last double game week. He got some really big scores. I think he's another good option from this game. So is Leno. But Andres Pereira at 4.3 million, he's such a good pick. Looks like he's going to be on pens. He's on free kicks. Leeds have conceded, 11 goals in their last 2 games. So, yeah, for me, Andreas is a really good buy. And if you can get him cheap, gives you the extra cash to look at bringing in some of the bigger players like Mo Salah, like Trent, and those types of players. I think Fulham will win this. I'm going to go with, I think it will be quite tight. Maybe a 1-0 Fulham. I can't see loads of goals, but I can see Andreas nicking that goal. So I'd be looking at him. Isn't really anyone from Leeds I'm too keen on this week. I usually do like Jack Harrison, but I think it'll be all Fulham at the moment. Leeds are really low on confidence. Let's go to Brentford versus Villa. And Villa, they've just been on fire lately. Really good. Done well to get Emery in charge. Yeah, they're looking really, really good. I think if you've got Ollie Watkins, you keep him. If you free hit, you get Ollie Watkins in. He's on fire. I like Alex Moreno as well. Brentford are a good side too. So again, if you've got Tony and you're not free hitting, keep him as well. Yeah, this could be a really exciting game. I'll go with a 1-1, but I think it'll be quite an open 1-1. Maybe a goal from Tony and Watkins either side, which is going to suit a lot of managers if that is, the outcome. So they're probably my two sort of top players from this one: Watkins, Tony, and I don't mind Jacob Ramsey if you're really looking for someone that's really cheap. Just that enabler in midfield, someone that's going to be a bit low budget. He gets forward and he gets goals. And we saw it last week in Aston Villa's win against Newcastle. So I'll go with 1-1. Let's go to Palace versus Everton. This is another game that is big for FPL this weekend because a lot of people are jumping on Palace since Hodgson's come back. They've been scoring goals and winning games again. Eze is definitely my favourite pick. I know he's popular. I know he's rising in ownership, so he's definitely still my favourite pick. Then Elise, always on the ball. And then the good thing about Elise is because he's always on the ball, he's always creating. There's always a chance of an assist or of a goal. And I know he's been a bit light on the points. We did see what he's capable of against Leeds a couple of weeks ago. This could be a good game for Elise. So he could be really worth a punt on a free hit or just as a one-off transfer. So Eze and Elise are the ones to target. Don't mind Edouard as well. Now he's getting back in the side. Does tend to have these games where he just scores a goal or two. As for Everton, there's not really anyone I'm liking. I know some people are probably considering Tarkowski because he's just a cheap defender that starts. But yeah, I'd be focusing on Palace and obviously Johnson in goal as well. So let's go with a 2-0 Palace in that one. And let's go to Leicester Wolves. This is another game that not many people are targeting. If you're like me and you've still got James Maddison, you're obviously going to keep him. I happen to have Harry Souttar still in my team. I don't know how he ended up in there in the first place. But look, I'm hoping Leicester can keep a clean sheet. I don't think they will. But they do desperately need to win. Let's hope Maddison can score a goal. But even if he does, I think this will be 1-1. I wouldn't aim for any Wolves players. And even Leicester, if you're free hitting, I wouldn't necessarily aim for their players. But if you did already own their players, you just keep them because when you're not free hitting, you want to just try and maximize what you can out of the squad that you have. Let's go on to the next really big game in FPL: Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. And I'm sure plenty of managers are having problems on the 3 players to pick on their free hit or the players to buy from Liverpool. For me, I think you've got to try and simplify it, and you've got to go Salah is the number one choice. He's just the most reliable with Liverpool. He's supposedly not having his best season. He's on 15 goals. He's on 7 assists. With the way he could end this season, he could end up on 20 goals, which is a really strong season in what's looking like it's going to be an average below par season for Liverpool. So Salah's my number one for Liverpool, but I don't think you necessarily need to have him. I think you can cover Salah with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's my second option, and a third option of either Gakpo or Jota. And I think they both play. I think we'll see Gakpo, Jota, and Salah with Darwin and even maybe the return of Luis Diaz on the bench. And I think if you've got Jota and Trent, or you've got Gakpo and Trent, I think that then covers not owning Salah. If you have all 3, you have all 3. But yeah, I think Trent, if you've got him, he could be a good captain option over Salah. If you don't end up owning Mo Salah. So they're my favourite Liverpool players. I think they'll win this game. Forest, really poor form away from home. 5 straight away defeats in a row. So I think Liverpool will run out comfortable. But I don't think it'll be 3 or 4. I think we'll probably see maybe a 2-0 to Liverpool in this one. So let's go to Bournemouth West Ham. This is another game. It's going completely under the radar for this blank game week. Again, there isn't anyone from West Ham I'm liking too much. If you hung on to Bowen, you obviously keep him. The likes of Sufao are really cheap enablers in defence. From Bournemouth, you've got Philip Billing. He's always good on a one-off game week. Dominic Solanke, big points against Spurs last week. So there is options from Bournemouth if you're looking to save some cash. And I actually think Bournemouth might nick this game. Actually, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Bournemouth. Let's back the GOAT. We call him the GOAT on this channel, Dominic Solanke, to score the winning goal. So I'm going to back him, and I'm going to back Philip Billing as well in this. So I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth. I think they'll get the points. They're moving closer to safety for me. So 2-1 Bournemouth. I'm backing Solanke this week. And then let's go on to this final fixture. My team, Tottenham, away at Newcastle. Not really holding any hope for us, for Spurs. To be honest, Newcastle confidence is there. They've just done better form this season. They're looking good, and they have a manager in charge as well. So I think Newcastle will win this game. It's hard for me to speak about Spurs and say we're going to lose, but I just can't see us getting anything from this game. I think Newcastle win, and I think they win comfortably, 3-1 to Newcastle. You keep Kane if you've got him, because if Spurs score, it's more than likely going to be him. Probably wouldn't be looking at Son. I know he's been scoring a few goals lately, but I just think you can use that money elsewhere. He's not a good pick for me this weekend. But Harry Kane, you always keep him in there. There's always a chance of a pen as well. And I do think Spurs, they've got a good record at St. James over the last few seasons. It never used to be good, but it has been better of late. But yeah, it's just a fortress there at the moment. Obviously, the crowd and the way they've been playing. So 3-1 to Newcastle. And it's why you can't dismiss Newcastle players this week. Trippier, free hit, you bring him in, you keep him. Isaac, an option. This is a very poor Spurs defence. They conceded 3 goals against Bournemouth last time out. So don't be scared to bring Newcastle attacking assets in for this game. Very, very interesting game, that one. But I'll stop sharing the screen, bring up some of the comments that have come in. And this is Wrestling Film has just said, not owning Salah is a headache, mate. I know how you feel, because I didn't own him in the double game week where a lot of people bring him in, and he didn't do that well. I think he got 10 points. People kind of expected more that week, and I thought I got away with it. And the following week, everyone kept him. Liverpool won 7-0, and Salah got 21 points. But I've got that same sort of headache this week with Martinelli. I don't own him. His ownership's really high. I had the opportunity to bring him in, but it was, for the way I was doing it, it was either I get Salah in or I get Martinelli in. I had to make a choice, and I've just gone with Salah. Maybe it's my Spurs bias being in there. So don't worry. You don't have Salah, but you've got Martinelli, who I think is a probably even more important this week with his ownership and just with the form Liverpool are on, Arsenal are on this season. Billing, I've got a good feeling about him in that Bournemouth game. You were unlucky last week because obviously Bournemouth scored 3 goals. Didn't get involved in any of the goals with the assists or scoring them, which is unlike him when Bournemouth scored, but he was good, he was sharp, and he was close. So, fingers crossed for you this weekend. And he did look very sharp, and he hit the post at the end. So I've got Iheanacho in my FPL draft team, actually. So, I'm hoping he gets the start, but he did look sharp. So if he's up front as well, he makes good runs, which is good for Maddison owners. Maddison did slide a ball through to Iheanacho last weekend. Iheanacho did hit the post from that. So, good shout there. We've got a question from WB. I'll bring that up in a sec. I just wanted to quickly talk through some differentials in captains. So let's just quickly talk through those, and then I'll go through the question from WB. But if you have just tuned in, if you're watching the stream live now, whether it's on Twitter, here on YouTube, or Twitch, please come into the YouTube comments and get your questions in ready for the deadline, which is an hour away. It's an hour and 5 minutes away. So we're getting close to the deadline. So come in, get all your questions in. We want to try and get as much in as we can before this hour's deadline. We don't want any last-minute transfers because we don't want the game to crash on us again. So let's go through my favourite captains this week. So at number 3, Bukayo Saka. I just think despite some of the poor scores he's got lately, you just can't look past him at home against Southampton. So he's my number 3. Number 2, this is tough because it was very close between 2 and 1. But 2, I've gone Martinelli. I know he's got 8 returns in his last 9 games. But I think he's number 2. I think Salah is my number 1, and he edges it for the fact that even though he's been missing pens, I think he will remain on pens, and it just gives him that bit of an edge. And he's just got that frequency to get double-digit scores more than a Martinelli, but it's very, very close. Very, very close. That's my 3 captains. I'll go through some differentials as well. So Jota, home to Forest, I think he plays 16 points in the game against Leeds, 1.6% owned. He's back fit. Really good option. I've got a feeling he's going to get a good score in this Forest game. And then next one, Eze. A lot of people are on him now. They're speaking about him. His ownership's probably rised in the last half an hour of me, or 15 minutes of me doing this pod. 8.3% owned, home to Everton. He's got 28 points in his last 3 games. So there's a couple of differentials I like. And then my player to watch, Andreas Pereira, 4.3 million, home to an underperforming Leeds side. He's on set pieces and pens whilst Mitrovic is out. So it makes him a really, really good enabler at 4.3 million. So that's my differentials and my captains. Let's go into some Q&A now. So if you've just tuned in, please get your questions in now in the comments. So get all your questions in ready for the deadline, which is an hour and 3 minutes away. Let's bring up the first one from WB. So he's asked, would I say Arsenal or Liverpool are more likely to keep a clean sheet? Oh, that's a good question. I'll back Arsenal. I'll back Arsenal with a clean sheet at home. I know they've been leaking goals lately, but even Liverpool last week against Leeds letting a soft goal. Yeah, I think Forest have got a little bit more about them going forward than Southampton. So I'm going to say Arsenal for me. But in saying that, if you're playing a Arsenal defender, Ben White as an example, and he's up against Trent Alexander-Arnold, and you've got to decide between playing Ben White and Trent, you play Trent because of his attacking prowess. So, albeit Ben White's been getting attack and returns lately, but yeah, if you're talking purely clean sheets, Arsenal for me. What do I think about Perisic? From FPL terms, he was good last week against Bournemouth from an FPL perspective because he was so close to 2 assists. One, he did get an assist for. The second one was for the disallowed goal when I think it come off. Was it Richarlison's hand or Kane's hand? And then Spurs scored, but the ball that then ended up in Richarlison's feet was from Perisic. So he nearly ended up in 2 assists. So he does have that attacking potential. But when I did go through the Spurs, Newcastle Spurs game, the defense is just so poor. Our defense, I'm a Spurs fan, it's just so poor. You're literally bringing him in, forgetting about a clean sheet, and he doesn't really score goals for us. He scored 1 goal this season. I just don't think he's worth the money, mate, to be honest. This is a tough question. Fixture, you'd pick Eze for me at home to Everton. FPL asset, you'd pick Tony because he's on pens. He's a goal scorer. The test this season, it shows you, points wise and what he's produced this season. Productivity is Tony for me, but that's a tough pick. I'd say Tony edges it. But Eze's a more exciting player to start, but I'd play Tony. Another question from Lexic. Is Trippier or Moreno good options, or swap one for a double up in Palace defence, Johnson and Gahey? Um, if you've got them in your team already, and they're going to play this weekend more than likely, so if they're the players you've already got, I'd play them. If you're talking about bringing Trippier and Moreno in, then possibly Trippier. But if they're already the two defenders you've got in your team, they're going to play. I'd just play them. I wouldn't even swap. I wouldn't even swap either one of them out. I'd just play them both. They're both on form and playing well, so I wouldn't do that. I do like the Palace defenders though. So if it's a choice between Moreno this week and say Mark Gahey, I'd probably go Mark Gahey. But I think Trippier's a good asset to have this weekend for Newcastle. WB just saying his choice on free hit is Gakpo and Gabriel versus Virgil van Dijk and Erdegaard. Very tough choice. That is a tough choice, but I would go for Gakpo and Gabriel. Gabriel gives you the Arsenal defence, which I think is stronger. He's also a big set piece threat, tends to just pop up with goals, especially in these games against the lower teams. And then Gakpo, exciting attacking option for Liverpool. It is tough though, because Odegaard's been so consistent this season for Arsenal, for FPL, good value. But I think if you're going to pick who do you think's got more of a chance of scoring a goal, you're going to pick Gakpo, I think, over Odegaard. And then clean sheets, it's probably similar this weekend between Gabriel and the Virgil van Dijk, although I think Arsenal edge it. And then goal threat, again, probably similar, but I think Gabriel edges it because he's been popping up with some goals this season. Lexic just asking, is Jesus a good asset or just go for an Arsenal defender when free hitting? I actually think Jesus is a good asset. The one thing I get worried about is will he start the game, because Martinelli's on form. Usually Arsenal, it's rare that they drop Saka, and they might throw Trossard in there. Jesus is coming back from injury, but Arsenal need to make a statement. They need to win the game. They need the goals. Jesus has been on form since returning, so yeah, I'd say a preference is probably still just go Jesus. I like to pick attackers, so I think Jesus is a good asset. And we saw at the start of the season when he played against Leicester and he got that big 19-point haul. We saw what he can do. We've seen that he can produce big hauls when he's fit and when he leads that line for Arsenal. So yeah, I think Jesus is just the more exciting pick as well. Welcome to the stream, mate. This is a good friend of mine I speak to on Instagram about FPL. Loves his FPL, asks plenty of really good questions. So welcome to the stream, mate. Hope you are good. Lexic has asked alongside Saka and Martinelli with Jesus. Yeah, that's the triple up for me. Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, best Arsenal triple up, in my opinion. The best triple up for this week. Good question. Andreas, is it a good punt? Yes, he is. I think he's good if you need to save money in your team and you've got a midfielder space available, then bring him in. I think he's a good punt. 4.3 million. He's on penalties. He's on free kicks. They play Leeds. So I think he is a good punt this week. But I think if you're using a free hit and you can get a midfield of Salah, Eze, Saka, Martinelli, I think those four are more important than Andreas. But if you can't get those four, Andreas is definitely worth a punt. And then if you're playing five in midfield, you could round that midfield up with Andreas in there as well. So, I think he's a good option. Also, everyone, please continue to get your questions in as well. If you have just tuned in, I've seen we've got a few more watchers that have tuned into the stream just now. Please get your questions in. Also, if you can just take 5 seconds of your time now, click the like button on this video. That would be really, really appreciative if you could do that. And please subscribe to this channel if you're new. It'd be awesome to get a few more subscribers on board, so we can keep doing these Q&A sessions every week. So here we go. Eze or Andreas, or Solanke. If I had to pick between those three, I like all of them. I like Andreas. I always like Solanke. I don't know what it is. But I pick Eze this week. Form, 28 points in his last 3 games. Palace looking good. A bit more inspired under Roy Hodgson at the moment. So it would have to be Eze. Yeah, that's true. We've seen that happen a few times this season with Odegaard. So wouldn't put it past me. They've kind of gone. We've had weeks where Saka's got a big score, Odegaard hasn't. Odegaard's got a big score, Saka hasn't. So they kind of work like that. So yeah, Odegaard looked really good against West Ham last week. Josh just said he's got Son locked. I think him being pushed central by Perisic's forward runs and his 4 attacking returns the last 5 make him quite under the radar pick. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I think I was being a bit harsh on Son earlier. I think it's just watching us play lately, watching Spurs play. Like, it's just not been great. And I know he's been getting returns, but I just look at his value. I'm not sure if you're bringing Son in on a free hit. And if you are, I just look at it from a free hit and just think there's value elsewhere this week, that you can spend and you can use. If you're doing it on just like a one transfer in as a one-off, I actually don't mind it as much. But yeah, tough game. But if you get a goal and some bonus, then yeah, fingers crossed, mate. I want him to score, so I'd love for him to do well. And you do make a good point about his goals and Perisic's runs. Welcome to the stream, Christian. Hope you are well, mate. So he's got 1 free transfer and he can't decide if he should remove Harrison, Castagna, or just hold the transfer. 9 players. Well, can you let me know who are the 2 players or the rest of the players that you have that don't play? I'm assuming it's Haaland, some Brighton players, maybe some Man United players. I think you should try and get at least 10 on the park. I wouldn't remove Harrison. No, I'd keep him because he's got a fixture and he could pull up with a goal. Castagna, look, Leicester's defence is terrible, but he does sometimes get attacking returns. We've seen it this season, so I'd play him, mate. I wouldn't make those sideways moves. I'm assuming you're probably thinking you don't want to make a transfer because you've got players you want to hold on for game week 33 and onwards. Maybe you don't have the wild card, but yeah, who are the players you have that aren't playing? Because I'd move one of them back, especially if it's someone like I don't know, even like it's a Haaland, right? And you can just, if you've got enough team value, you can just bring him back the following week with a free transfer and do a 1-week transfer. I'd try and get an extra man on the pitch, mate. But let me know in the comments. Keep the questions coming in. In the meantime, whilst we wait for some more questions, we're less than an hour till deadline, so it is 2:38 a.m. here in Australia, so it's nice and late. But I'm happy to be awake for this. I'm going to share my team in the meantime. Let's share my team because we'll wait for some more comments and questions to come in. So let's share mine. Here we go. Here we go. Christian did say Haaland, Grealish, March, Matoma, Estupan, Raya. Yeah. I'll do Grealish then, mate. You could do Grealish for Eze. Or you could do Haaland for Jesus. And then bring back Haaland next week. And then bring back Grealish in game week 34. Or sorry, you could do Haaland for Jesus, bring Haaland back next week. Or game week 33, which is the midweek. Obviously, if you've got the funds to do it. Or you could just do Grealish or March out if you've got the money, one of those. Bring Eze in, and then you can bring Grealish back in, game week 34, double game week. I think you can do that, mate, in my opinion. And yeah, thanks, mate. Very early, I was up watching shows with the missus, and then I was supposed to be streaming, I think it was about 3 hours ago with the FPL Amateurs of Oz, but he couldn't make the stream. So I stayed up watching TV, and then I thought, I'm going to do the live stream. I'm not going to try and have a nap and set the alarm. I'm just going to stay up and do it. It's Saturday tomorrow. Well, Saturday now, so why not? Why not? We've had another question come in, so I will go through that. I thought in the meantime, I'll just actually we'll go through the question and then I'll share a screen. I'll share my team after that. So which do I consider are the weak assets in my team? Martinez, Trent, White, Moreno, Salah, Martinelli, Gakpo, Eze, Watkins, Hazy, Slunky. I don't think it's really that weak for this week. I think it's a good team. Maybe like, I guess Anderson, Ream, Fabianski, Bowen, they're bench players, right? Doesn't look like you're playing them from this. There's not really anything weak in that. Like that's a full starting 11 for game week 32. You've got Salah, you've got Martinelli, you've got Gakpo, you've got Eze, Watkins. Maybe you could try and swap Bowen for Saka, and then you could, look to play Saka. But again, kind of covered Arsenal with Martinelli and Jesus, Ben White as well. So yeah, I think it's a strong team. Maybe Martinez has been on good form, so it's definitely probably a keeper that you want to have. So yeah, it's hard to say anything too bad about the team. I think it's pretty template while still having a couple of differentials in there as well. All right, so we'll wait for more questions and some more people to come into the stream as we get closer to deadline. I'm going to share a screen and go through my team for everyone so they can see. So what I've done this week, I had 2 free transfers. I've used 3 and I've taken a -4. So I'll talk through those transfers in a second. Let's go through my team so you can see on the screen. Neto is my keeper for Bournemouth, home to West Ham. 3.3 points is his prediction. I've got Suter, home to Wolves. Terrible signing for my FPL team. 0.5 points. Please, Harry Suter, just do something this weekend. Clean sheet is a bonus. If he could knock a header in, even better. Ben Mee, another terrible signing. I've had him for double game weeks. I've had him for good fixtures. He's been awful for me. 1.2 points, but I've got to play him. Trippier, 4.7 points. I mentioned earlier, I think it's a good game for him against Spurs. There's a set piece in there for him somewhere. And then I've got a midfield 4. Andreas, Maddison, Saka, and Salah. So Salah's got the 14 points predicted there with the captain's armband. Saka's only got 1.7, which I find surprising. I thought it'd be a bit higher. Maddison's got the 2 points predicted. Andreas has the 3.3. Pretty happy with that team. I'll talk you through who my transfers were in a second. And then I've got the front 3 here of bench is dead. I've got Kepa, Estupiñán, and Shaw and Mitoma, who aren't even playing. And then the front 3, very template. Harry Kane, 5.5 points. Jesus, 9.7. So let's hope he gets the start. And Watkins, he's got 10 predicted points, which is that's pretty big, isn't it? It makes me think if I put the captain on him here, gives it 20 points there. Looks quite nice, that, doesn't it? But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep it on Salah. So let's talk through my transfers. I'll let you know what I did. Like I mentioned before, 2 frees, took a -4 and made a 3rd transfer. So what I did, I gave Haaland come out because I've got a wild card to use to bring him back. I'm only going to lose 0.1 value. So Haaland come out, Gabriel Jesus come in. But I'm not 100% confident he plays just because a few Arsenal fans are sort of rumouring about, Trossard playing. So I'm a bit worried, but Jesus come in. Then I bring in Andreas for 4.3 million for Solly March. Again, Solly March is someone I can buy back on my wildcard if I want to. He's been pretty good for me. He's all at times. So I might look to bring him back with all these Brighton double game weeks. So he's in there, taking pens, taking free kicks, because it was either Andreas comes in or I would have moved on Probably, I think it was Luke Shaw, who's still in my team there on the bench, and I would have taken him out and brought in someone like Gahey or Tarkovsky. And I thought Gahey would be a good pick, but Tarkovsky wouldn't. But Gahey would. But I thought, let's go with the attacker. Let's go with Andreas. So I went with Andreas, which allowed me his cheapness, as you can see here, 4.3 million. Although Fulham haven't been on good form, have they? He's had a couple of returns there. So I'll take anything I can get from him, considering he is on a -4. And then that gave me the funds to bring in this man, Mo Salah. And I thought, if I'm bringing him in, and I'm bringing him in with a hit, put the captain's armband on him. This is supposedly a bad season for Salah. And look at this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, and he's returned in 4 of them. 2 of them are double-digit scores. So, yeah, that's why I bring him in and captained him. But like I did say earlier, Martinelli is the one I was scared. I'm scared of not having. So I was going to do Martinelli instead of Andreas and maybe Gakpo to kind of mitigate Salah. But no, I just preferred Salah. PSB, mate, welcome to the stream. Let me know your thoughts on captains this week, mate. I'd love to get your insight. PSB had one of the best captain picks, I think, in the world last season. It was phenomenal. So, let me know your captain thoughts. It's 2:46 a.m. So I'm very tired, but always have got time for FPL and everyone that joins the streams every week. I just didn't want to miss a stream. Jacob, welcome to the stream, mate. No free hit. I'm using it in 34 because with my team on a -4, I had 2 transfers. -4 then gave me the third transfer. And I realised with a -4, I can get 11 players on the park, still being able to have Harry Kane, Salah, Saka, Watkins, Deuce, and Maddison, who I think's got a good fixture. So I looked at. There we go, I'm back. I think the connection just dropped for a second. Sorry, everyone, if the connection's dropped on my Wi-Fi. Must be the early hours of the morning. So I looked at that and I thought, I don't think I need a free hit. So I'm going to free hit in game week 34 because I want to maximize the free hit in game week 34 so I can maximize the Liverpool double game week, the Man City double game week, the Man United double game week, and get Brighton assets in there. So that was always my plan, mate. And I'm looking to wildcard probably in either 33 or 35. So that was the plan. As for no Saka captain, prefer Salah, mate. Just prefer Salah as captain. I've used him for the -4. Just don't want to think about it. If Saka does well, he does well. But yeah, I've just got. I think when you bring Salah back into your team, how sharp he looked against Leeds in the last game, it was just a no-brainer for me, mate. PSB with a question: best goalkeeper on free hit. I don't like the template Johnston pick. I think Sean Dyche's Everton score. If you're not keen on Johnston, mate, then for me, I'd go with Leno from Fulham. Probably people that disagree, but it's just not liking Leeds at the moment. I know Fulham haven't been great. We just saw how poor their form's been, but maybe I'd go with Leno for something different. Because you're not going to bring in Alisson. You're not going to bring in the Arsenal keeper, Ramsdale. Martinez and Raya, one of them you'd want to hope that either team doesn't score, but I'd probably say it's between Pope, because Spurs, we might lose that. I said 3-1, but we could lose 2-0, 1-0. I'd probably say it's Pope, Leno, and Neto, maybe. For me, mate, I'd probably say. I think it's quite limited this week with the fixtures and the way the fixtures have lined up. I'd probably say Leno. But that's obviously because you want to do something outside of Johnston. So, yeah. Is Trent captain with attacking threat and potential clean sheet option? Of course he is. 100% he's an option. I know he wasn't in my top three, but if I was doing a curveball captain, he'd certainly be in the frame. So yeah, of course, especially now he's playing in this, this inverted fullback position and different role he seems to be playing in. I didn't see the full Liverpool game against Leeds, so I didn't see exactly the new position he's been playing in. But he got 2 assists. He's been looking sharp. So for sure, he's a captain option. So PSB is on Salah. Straightforward this game week. That's exactly how I feel. I just look at it and think, I brought him in. Forest, 5 losses in a row away from home. Salah looked sharp the other night. He looked sharp the week before against Arsenal, even though he did miss a pen. He could have had a hat-trick on another day. So, yeah, Salah for me. Question from Becco. Solanke or Eze? I'd say Eze. I like Solanke. Me and PSB call him the GOAT on this channel. So we do like Solanke, but I think he's got to be Eze. It's got to be Eze. With his form, 28 points in 3 games. Yeah, this is a good question. I'd probably say I'm going to go out and say Leno. I'm going to say Leno. I agree with PSB. I think Everton score, so I'm going to back Leno. But you can also get Gahey in your defence to cover Palace if you think they'll keep a clean sheet. And this is a very good point from Christian because he's seen the goalkeeper comment. Doesn't know neither, but he likes Leno. So there we go. We've got another viewer who backs Leno, but he likes Sarr. Sarr is a good point because he plays Leicester. Leicester have been poor lately. So and he racks up bonus points, gets the odd pen save as well. So yeah, something a little bit different. It just depends how much you trust that Wolves defence and that Wolves team. But I'll stop sharing the screen. That was my team anyway. Let me know in the comments if what you think. Do you think I'm going to get many points? I think Salah is going to carry this team this week. Maybe a cheeky goal from Kane, Jesus. Could be the weekend that Watkins doesn't do anything. Andres, not really too sure. Maddison. I've got really no hope for these 2 defenders or my goalkeeper this week. Another question from Becco. And before I go through that one, we've got some good viewers in the stream now. So I really appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Obviously, we're 14 minutes until deadline. So I'll probably stay on this stream for another 10 minutes and it will hit 3 a.m. here in Australia. Normally, I like to do a countdown all the way to a deadline, but I just don't think I'll be able to do another 37 minutes of stream just because of the time. Unless we get more viewers, even more viewers and more questions, then it will probably keep me on. But if you are new, please subscribe to the channel. Just hit that subscribe. Click the like button now if you haven't done. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm and continue to get your comments in as well. And to answer this one, I'm going to say Jota. Obviously, Gakpo is a midfielder in the game. Jota is a striker in the game. So you could technically have both. But if your decision is it's because it's your 3rd Liverpool asset, because I'm assuming you've got Trent and Salah. So I would say Jota. Looked sharp the other day. I think he plays. He's brilliant for Liverpool when he's fit. So Jota for me. But Gakpo is still looking good, but I'd pick Jota. Great question, mate. Great question. Who do I think gets more points this game week? Maddison or Solanke the GOAT? Solanke, obviously, last week got some good points. Maddison had a one-on-one in the last couple of minutes, saved from Edison, and he slipped Iheanacho in, and he hit the post. So he was close to a big score at the end. West Ham home or Wolves home. Bournemouth are on better form. I want to say Maddison because he's in my team, and all it does take is a goal really from a midfielder. But I'm going to back the GOAT, mate. Let's go Solanke. I don't mind it. Look, I think if you've got Salah, I just think it's worth just captaining him. It's a great week to, captain Salah again. He's been so good for us in FPL down the years. I think this is a perfect week to be able to captain him again. We had a lot of heartbreak with him at the start of the season when we were captaining him and he wasn't getting the scores. If you don't have Salah, I would then captain Arnold, but I'd probably say captain Salah in the first instance over both. But at the same time, mate, you got to play the way you want to play. So if you want to captain Trent, nothing wrong in that either. And Christian, just for some thoughts on my team. Likes my team. Neto is a good shout. Apart from a couple of matches, their running looks kind. Yeah, if I look at these Bournemouth games, West Ham home, they've got Southampton away. They've got Leeds United. Let's just see if that's home or away. Leeds home, Chelsea home. That's a pretty good game at the moment. I think I saw a stat earlier. Chelsea, Real Madrid have scored more goals in England than Chelsea have in the year 2023. So that's probably a good fixture for Bournemouth at the moment. Then Palace away, probably tough right now. Man United home, tough game, and then Everton away. So he's a good goalie to own. I'm gonna obviously be wild carding, so I'm not sure. Do I keep him on the wild card? Looking at that, I might have to. I might have to keep him as a second goalkeeper. His value, he's 4.5, so I must have got him for 4.5 as well, I'm assuming. And PSB, all good, mate. Best of luck yourself. Hope you have a good game week. Thanks for tuning in as always, mate. Really appreciate your support every week. If there's any more questions as well, please get them in now. I'm still going to stay online for just a little bit longer, so please get them in. I'm just going to check and see if there's been any early team news or anything that's come through for deadline. And no worries, Becco. Thanks for coming in as well. Let's have a look. I'll see if there's any team news that's coming in or anything that can help managers with. Let's have a look. It doesn't look like any news at the moment. Nah, nothing by the looks of it. I was hoping maybe there was some early news now about the Arsenal lineups, but yeah, it doesn't look like there is. And this is the thing with early deadlines, and I said this in my free hit video, so I've got a free hit video, so when I do finish this, if you get a spare 20 minutes, you can always check out my free hit video. But I was saying, if you're on free hit, I think you need to build a squad because it's an early deadline, so we're not getting as much early information. We're not getting the all the press conferences we need on time. The deadline's going to probably be done, so I think you still need a squad because you get those late injuries, those surprise injuries, because the game's, the deadline is a day early. So I think you need a bit more of a bench this week on a free hit. Liam, welcome to the stream, mate. Do I think Gakpo will start? I've predicted, and this is just me, what I think will happen based on form. But my prediction is Jota, Gakpo, and Salah, with Darwin Núñez on the bench and potentially Luis Diaz on the bench as well, returning from injury. I think Liverpool, they want to end the season strong. Jota, Gakpo, and Salah were good the other night. So for me, I think they'll take that front three spot. So yes, is the answer to your question, mate. I think he will start. So if there is any more questions, please get them in. I'm just going to stay on for a little bit longer, a couple more minutes. That will be Liam's captain this week. So best of luck, mate. Best of luck. But yeah, we're half an hour till deadline, so not long. It's going to be a huge game week. It's a blank game week. These ones are always interesting because you look at it and you want to see if you've got 10 or 11 players on the pitch, will your team, without using a chip, will your team beat a free hit team? So the last blank game week we had, I think I played with 10 men. I used a -4 to get there, or maybe no transfers. I ended up with a green arrow. Oh no, I had 9 men. So I used 9 men on the last blank game week. Might have been when Arsenal played Palace. I think it might have been a blank game week that week. And I captained Saka. He obviously had a huge score. So I had 9 men and got a green arrow. So you don't always need to have a full team on a blank game week because we can't predict how the games are going to go. Wilson from Fulham as a differential, my free hit. Mate, that's cool. I like that. That's a really good differential. I've got the screen here, so I'm just going on. I'm pretty sure he scored for Fulham against Everton, didn't he, last week? He's very good at free kicks as well. He's very, very good at free kicks. Let's check it out. Harry Wilson, 7 points, got 90 minutes. So, yep, he did get that goal. I like it. He's confident he's going to start, which I think he will. Fulham have got so many injury problems. So, yeah, nice pick. You've got to, if you're on a free hit, you need, at least 2 or 3 sort of non-template players because it's just part and parcel of FPL having a free hit and enjoying the game. But yeah, good question. Good differential. But look, unless any other questions come in the next sort of 10, 20 seconds, I will look to wrap up the stream. We're half an hour until deadline. It's time for me to get some sleep. It's 3:01 in the morning where I am, so I need to go get some sleep. Looks like I'm going to probably be asleep till the afternoon. I'll probably end up missing the Arsenal game, which is in a couple of hours. So I probably won't be able to watch that one live. We do have a last 1 minute question from This Is Wrestling Film. Free transfer to bring in a keeper for a starting 11. 5 defenders, so I'm either taking a -4 for Gakpo or -8 for Salah will be captain. Mate, you really, really want Salah. I'm going to say that gives you a starting 11 though, mate. If you do the -8 to bring Salah in, and the players you bring in for the -8 outside of Salah don't pay you back, so you're effectively, they pay you back with 2 points each, which means you've only taken effectively like a -4. So then you need Salah. Whatever Salah scores, you take 4 points away from it. So if Salah scores a goal, some bonus, ends up on, 5, 3, 2, 11 points. You take away the 4, you're gaining 7 points. It's tough, mate. If it was my team and I was going to get 11 on the field, I'd back the team I've got and I'd probably captain Martinelli. But I know you're in a very, very strong rank and position this year, so it is hard for you to not have Salah. But at the same time, do you really need to sacrifice doing a -8? That's the other thing. So it's tough, mate. If it was my team, I'd just do the one transfer, captain Martinelli. I wouldn't go as far as a -8. The only thing that would really kill you from Salah is if he scores 2 or more goals, which I know can happen. But yeah, that's how I see it, mate. Good luck with your decision, though. It's split down the middle. It's tough. Bring up some of these comments. All good, mate. Thanks for coming into the stream. And yeah, thanks, mate. And look, I hope Spurs win, but I think there's a lot of Spurs fans right now that are not too happy with the ownership model and the structure of the club, and they're kind of the opinion of always want our team to win, but if we lose, maybe it will give the kick up the arse to the ownership that the club needs. I think they also they know that if we get Champions League, it's just a cash cow for Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis and stuff. But yeah, everyone's got different opinions on it. Obviously, still want us to win games. I want to see Harry Kane score goals. Becco, it's got Leno, Arnold, Trippier, Castagna, Salah, Saka, Martinelli, Gakpo, Slanky, Jesus, Watkins. His team, and he's thinking to get over Slanky, get Gakpo out for another midfielder. Yeah, it depends on who the midfielder is. Andreas is a nice little pick. Eze is probably your next best bet, mate. If you're going to go another midfielder, it's probably him. And then if you go in another striker, there isn't much else this weekend. Like, you're not going to go to Harry Kane from Solanke to Kane because you're going to need tons of money. Tony's probably the next bet if you've got the money. If you go Eze instead of Gakpo, you could probably get Tony instead of Solanke maybe. But yeah, other than that, I don't think you need to do much else, mate. But yeah, very good team. And anytime, mate, it's always great to have you in. And obviously, you're a fellow Spurs fan as well, which makes it even better, mate. So it's great to see you in the stream, and hope you have a good game week too. And look, let's wrap it up there. We're not. It doesn't look like we're going to get any more questions that come in. We did have the best replacement for Gakpo. Who did I just say then? I'd say, I don't mind. I think Eze. I'd say Eze. He just seems pretty template this week. You've got Salah, so you're covered there. You've got Trent, so you're covered there. So I'd probably take Eze, mate. And any time. Awesome. All right. So it looks like we're not going to get any more questions. A few of the watchers have gone. So let's leave it there. Thanks to everyone that tuned in. If you haven't done already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe as well. All the support is really appreciated. Thanks again. I'm at FPL Matt Day. I'll see you all in the next one. Good luck for game week 32. Bye for now.